everybody. Happy Thursday afternoon. I am here with Miss Kesha Speaks, otherwise known as Kesha Kent, because we all know her as Miss Kesha Speaks. I'm so glad that she is here with me today. We met in this fantastic LinkedIn training Zoom networking thing, which is perfect because Kesha is an author and her book is called Networking Is Your Superpower. And so we're going to talk to her in just a second. If you are here live, let me know in the comments you're here live. If you are watching on the replay, let us know you're watching on the replay. That's right, hashtag replay. Or as my uncle calls it, hash brown. Hash brown replay. So we're so happy, Kesha, that you are here. Would you just tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your leadership journey?
Absolutely. And when I think of leadership, sometimes I didn't used to think of myself as a leader. But when I think back, I'm a double Dutch queen. I always think of teams and kickball, and we were always outside doing all these amazing things. So I've been a leader for a long time because I would be the captain and I would pick who was going to turn, who was going to jump, the order of jumping, kickball, all that stuff, softball, all those things. I've been a leader for such a long time. And when I think of the word leader, I really think of someone who desires to put others before them. And when I think of leadership, the word servant comes to mind because I love to add value every single where that I go, every place I show up, I like to add value. And I'm a wife. I'm a wife of almost 11 years. I'm married to the love of my life. We met when he was 12 and I was 13. That's
of course you did.
Day. Another story for another day. And when I think of leadership in my journey, because of all those things that have happened and sometimes the trauma that takes place in our lives, we forget about the fact that we are leaders, right? I had to rebirth the idea of me being a leader in about 2007, I would say. 2007, I started really doing the work. So I retook the Strengths Finder that elite to outline all of those strengths and those gifts. And then the Enneagram came along. And I was like, what is this? So I took that and understood. I'm a 7, you guys. If you guys are following this Enneagram journey, 7, and I'm all about the power of getting connected and leadership. And I'm really off the cuff sometimes. So when it comes to content and things like that, I just do it when I feel it. People are like, what? I just have to do it when I feel it. I'm so spontaneous. And leadership has really been ingrained in me from such an early age. In the space of diversity and inclusion, I'm sitting in that space as a leader. I'm also a speaker and I do training and development. I do workshops and around everything relational. Networking, it's your superpower when it's intentional. So I always say that, and I look at the years that I've spent in the space of recruitment. I'm a recruiter to the core. So I have over 20 years of experience as a recruiter, building relationships in that HR space, right? But always wanting to give more and connect with people and build relationships. I'm all about relationships, all about relationships.
Yeah, and that's how we got connected. I sent you a little message that was like, hey, thanks so much, because one of the great tips that Kesha sent me or said in this thing, and I was like, that was so helpful. And then we just continued. So I also love relationships, which is what I have appreciated about us getting to know each other. And even though we live 3 miles apart, we've never actually met in person, which is so crazy because of this pandemic. And so I've so appreciated about that. And one of the things that's so funny, talk about servant leadership, because today I posted that servanthood doesn't add to leadership, it defines leadership.
And power.
It's so true. And one of the things in the Facebook group that we talk a lot about as women leaders is that we start first by self-leading. And that we have to lead ourselves before we can lead other people. So even though you were a double Dutch queen and telling people who's turning, you had to start that with yourself and then move out. And the self-discovery of the Enneagram and Strengths Finders and Myers-Briggs and DISC, all of those play a role in learning about who we are. And I love that that's what you talk about, what you share. So again, if you've got questions for Kesha, please put them in the chat. If you're watching on the replay, we'll get to you. It's so great.
We will.
And then, so I want to ask you, one of the things that I like to help people work through as a recovering conflict avoider is the idea of working through conflict, and how does conflict shape us, and what you do as a leader really really helps determine the outcome of a conflict. So can you tell us a story or a circumstance of where a conflict went really well and you learned something, or it maybe didn't go so well and you learned something there too? So tell us a little bit about that.
I have a ton of stories, but I'm going to pick one.
Okay, great.
One of the things I think about often, not even recently, it was early in my career. I was starting a position and I was going to be the recruiting manager for the entire organization. The individual that was training me had given me all these sorts of things that were kind of just gnawing at me, right? She said, you're going to work with so-and-so and he's so hard to work with and he's this and he's that. Just gave me all of this stuff. And it was like my third day. Okay, so she's already planting these seeds about this guy. I went home and I sat on it and I could not get rid of the thought because she was leaving and I was going to still be the one there. And I kept thinking, oh my goodness, I need to get to know him. What am I going to do? He's going to be so hard to work with. All of that stuff. She had planted that seed in me. The next day when I got there, I said, you know what? I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to find out. I was going to report to him. He was going to be my boss. So I needed to figure out whatever was happening. I went in and this was probably now a week later. So a week later, I go in and I have a conversation. But let me just give you the backstory. He would send emails super early in the morning, 5 a.m. He would send out messages.
He's in the 5 a.m. club.
And so, you know what I did is I went into his office. I said, can I just have about 5 minutes? He's like, sure. I said, I noticed that you send emails really early in the morning. Do you expect me to respond at 5 o'clock in the morning? He was like, absolutely not. I don't expect you to respond. No. From that point on, you all, what I realized is this. We can make a decision to build relationships with people for ourselves, or we can go off what someone else says. And that person's perception is theirs. But had I not gone in there and really had the conversation with him, because she was gone. She trained me for that week and she was gone. I was going to be the one that needed to connect. And what I said was, let me figure out how I can connect. So when I think of leadership, period, across all lines, across all industries, departments, it is up to us to build a relationship with individuals. And from that moment on, it allowed me to get to know him. He's written me recommendations. If you go on my LinkedIn, you'll see him. I'm not going to say who, but he's written me recommendations. He's referred me customers and clients. He's purchased my books several times and always refers me, because here's the thing that I know, had I not gone in there to really dismantle all of the stuff that was given to me, right? None of the stuff was facts. I hadn't even worked with him, so I didn't know, but this was her perception. But here's what I did. She went to another place in the company. And what I did is I started to help them build their relationship. So when he would do little things, I would say to her, hey, look what so-and-so did. Oh, he's not that bad, is he? Oh, I did all those things so she could see, well, you know what? He's not that bad. But understand, we have a place. We can keep perpetuating the same junk and get that stuff dug up and say, you know what? I'm putting in new seeds, because this tree inside here is going to have some leaves and some fruit. That's it.
I love it. You have said so many, just like golden nuggets that you're just throwing out. And I just want to pull out a couple that were so powerful. And one of them, Shelby just said, she's like, I love that you just went and asked. You just asked a question. The power of asking questions. I joke about, I was an educator for 20 years. And then I started this career in speaking and coaching, and I realized I have been a professional question asker my whole life. And that's a powerful tool to build relationships, to create better understanding. So you went and asked a question. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in, oh, what are they going to think? And it's all about us rather than chatter. Oh, that internal dialogue just gets us. And so if we just ask, hey, can you clarify this expectation for me? That'd be really great. That was so simple.
It takes everything else out.
Absolutely.
The power of the ask. We then get to get understanding for ourselves. And aren't we looking in everything that we do? We are listening. I'll say this if you're not. Listen to understand.
Absolutely.
to respond.
Absolutely.
We listen to respond. But in order to get to know people, we want to make sure that we're listening to understand, because had I bit the bait of that, that would have been a toxic relationship early on. And I worked there with him for so many years. And I
Yeah.
was, it was something that God said. And the fact is, he was a man of God, and he was so gentle, and he was all these things, but he was a big guy. So people were intimidated. But without me getting to know him, I would have had the same lie that they were keeping going.
How would you know? And so if you are watching live, let us know how you feel about this. If you're catching the replay, let us know. I love what Shelby said too, is like, it doesn't necessarily mean someone needs something you, because we assume. So you went and said, you know what? I'm not going to take this perspective. I'm going to go find out for myself. And I think one of the things we can forget is that, one, people are doing the best they can. And two, people are doing the best they can. And it's a paradox. They're doing the best they can, and we can always do better. That's a paradox that we live with. But people are doing the best they can. And number two is that we don't know what's happening in their world. We're putting our own. I have my glasses here. I did a workshop today talking about personality. Got my glasses. I think everybody's glasses are yellow when I put these on. And if I'm unaware, your shirt is now so yellow. And I would be so confused if I took it, it changes how I see. And we assume other people see the way we do. It gets us into trouble. And so when you take that on from somebody else, rather than going and discovering yourself, it's so powerful in that story. I love that. Yes, my glasses. Thanks, Shelby. I know. So tell us a little bit about how your own self-awareness helped you figure that out. Like, what did you discover about yourself in that made you take that on for longer? Like, you put this into your practice. What did you discover about yourself in that?
The biggest thing that I really discovered is there's an innate gift that's within me. And that gift is building relationships. So my top strength is woo, which is winning others over. And positivity is another one of mine. The biggest thing that I learned is
do we have the same strengths and Enneagram? We're going to go through that at the end. Okay, go on with your story. We'll figure this out.
Listen, so when I understood that there's a gift within me to build relationships across lines, with different people, with ages, demographics, anything that you can think of. I'm that person that I can show up and I change the atmosphere instantly. Once I understood that was what my gift was, now it was up to me to be able to give it out. When I understood my gift, and also what happens too is, because I know that this is my gift and I've done the work on the inside, all the outsides are benefiting. But I always say this: you must start with doing the work in the inside, understanding what your strengths are. There's no way you can even network with anyone else if you have no idea of what your strengths are. Who the hell are you?
Right.
Figure that out.
Yeah, I love it so much. And the other thing that you said, that it's so fun to like look into your strengths, like, oh, here's what I do. But the flip side of that is, oh, and what am I bringing to the table that isn't always helpful? And how do I do the inner work to fix that? Because we always think, well, we don't always, that's kind of a bad statement, but we often can consider that it's other people's jobs to fix that.
And it's not.
It's not. Or we get caught in this other cycle of, well, Kesha's got woo, Jen's got woo. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to act like that. And I need my friend Dana, who is input and an Enneagram 1, to do her thing and get the information and help us bring order into the chaos. Like I need that from her.
Yes. And we all get an opportunity. But here's the other thing that I learned that I am spontaneous. I learned that I am sometimes off the cuff, that I am quick and I can pick up things quick, but not everybody has that. So my folks that are strategic, my friends that are green and they're analytic and they need the details, I'm learning that. My husband is also that too. So I'm learning to take a moment and say, let me inform him of what I'm thinking, right? I make sure that I do that. I do that with the team that I serve, the people that I work with. I make sure that I inform them, because here's the thing. We can't get the thing done without every one of those pieces. And all of those pieces are so valuable. And when we think about diversity, I always think about it in that same vein. There's no way that we can get to where we want to get without the level of diversity that allows us diversity of thoughts. That's
Absolutely.
the biggest thing. And it allows us to get to a place where we can say, oh, you're so strategic, baby, because I'm not always strategic. I have an idea and I can activate it. Activator is another one of mine. I can activate.
We have to, okay. Woo. So here are mine. Communicator, strategic, positivity, woo, and activator.
That activator is no joke, baby.
Do we have the same ones?
We don't. So I don't have strategic in my top. So here are mine. Woo, positivity, communication, includer.
Okay.
And activator.
I love it. That's so funny. I didn't know that about. Look at us discovering this fun. And you know, it's so funny. One of the things that, like you said, we need the diversity of thought. We need the diversity of experiences. We need the lived experiences of people of color, of women, of people with disabilities. We need those to shape our organizations and what we're doing. It makes us better. So I so appreciate you saying that. And one of the things that London is saying in the comments is that she like hated her woo at first. And often people have, I know, you know what? It's that one of the only strengths that I have another friend named Jake, and he has it too. And he's like, I didn't like it. And I think it's an interesting pattern when we see ourselves, it's almost frightening for like what that power can do. And when we reframe it as that is a power to serve better, it changes it, makes it not about us and about the people that we're working with. So I love that.
You're right. You're so right, Jen. And I think one of the reasons that I didn't love it was because of what other people said.
Yeah.
And I had to get clear because it wasn't me. It was because of what people said. And what they say is they didn't know if I was genuine with all this energy. They didn't know if I was going to be the same every time. They didn't know. And so many people have said to me over the years, well, you were a bit much and you came off as a bit much, because I'm usually high energy. That's me to the 10th power. And I'm loving on everybody. I'm a server. So I want to jump in and see how I can help. But people who don't know me, sometimes they're not sure of it. And they're like, you know, who are you and where are you coming from with all this? But once it goes back to the relationship. But once you build a relationship, those people see that I'm that person that's pushing, encouraging. I can help connect lines. I'm introducing. I'm a connector, all those things. It's not until we understand the true power of our gifts that we really can own them and walk in them and manifest all of our dreams.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, we're just going to end there. Like, yeah, that's great. I so appreciate you sharing with us your experiences in leadership and what you're doing and how you have owned your gifts and done the inner work to use them as a servant for others. It's just, I love being in relationship with you and following you. And we've been in Clubhouse rooms together.
Clubhouse if you're not on Clubhouse.
I know, come here with us on Clubhouse. I know. So, and you know, one of these days we're going to be in a real room together, and it's going to be, I mean, the explosion of 7. Here we go.
We're thinking the same thing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So tell our friends where they can find you, and tell us about how they can get your book.
I have a free book giveaway, and it's very specific. If you go to my Instagram, which is Mrs. Kesha Speaks, you see it right there on the screen. That's my Instagram name. Go to my Instagram. There's some specific instructions. I want you to make sure that you like and comment, tag 3 people, and share. Yes, I said share. Share posts, because here's the thing. The world is opening up, and you want to make sure that you are ready to go and that you're understanding the power of networking. You're understanding all those gifts and strengths that you have, and you cannot connect with people without knowing who you are. My book, Networking Is Your Superpower, is also in the link in my bio on Instagram, Mrs. Kesha Speaks, and you can go there to purchase as well. Follow Instagram. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook, Mrs. Kesha Speaks. Like my Facebook page and follow the journey. I'm here to help with anything networking, relationships, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I love, love, love the power of our voices. We need to use our voices out in these streets. However you do it,
I love it.
Your voice.
And for those of you in the Facebook group, I will put those links below. If you are watching this later on LinkedIn, we will make sure you get those links. So let us know if you've got more questions. Please connect with Kesha. She is just a joy and a light, and she really is this genuine and so, so helpful. So thank you again for your time. And I want you to stay just a moment while we say goodbye to the people. And thank you, everybody. Have a great Thursday, and we will see you later. Bye.
We'll see you.